So here we are, History is Now blog, video blog number 1, 16 October 2019 in the beautiful Waikato, following the trail today of Wiremu Tamihana, Tarapipipi Te Waharoa, son of Te Waharoa, one of the great warrior chiefs of the Waikato in the early 19th century, and peacemaker, that is Wiremu Tamihana, the peacemaker, the kingmaker. One of the key founders and visionaries of the Māori King movement. So I'm following Wiremu Tamihana's trail today. That is, I'm tracking down some of his sites where he resided, where he did his mahi, and I'm here at Peria, Tamihana's Peria village site. I didn't know there was any signage. I didn't quite expect there to be any signage for this, because essentially the village that he established here is no longer in existence. In fact, it hasn't really existed for some 150 years. So I was following my Evelyn Stokes Wiremu Tamihana book, Dame Evelyn Stokes, wonderful book, this compilation of Wiremu Tamihana's writings, letters. So I was following my Evelyn Stokes map and Google Maps through the highways and actually the byways. I was getting down to smaller and smaller roads through from Hamilton towards Te Waharoa or Matamata, and I found the point that it looked like on the map and reached this little knoll, and what should I find but some signage. So there you go, it hasn't been forgotten completely. I'll just put the signage in front of the camera now. So Tamihana's Peria village site. And if I can get this in the camera, old karaka trees nearby, still growing in 1991, mark the site of Tamihana's house in the village of Peria, which is based on the biblical town in the book of Acts, Berea. So Tamihana's village, according to this mark, 1846 to 1865. And I believe, if I'm not much mistaken, that the tree about to come into view is the karaka tree named or mentioned in the sign next to where Tamihana's whare originally stood. Let's get the right tree. That's the one, standing in the paddock there, quite a large karaka tree. Not that I'm an expert on karaka trees. So a pretty peaceful and beautiful setting, looking out westwards, or should I say eastwards, towards Waharoa. So as we're in this site of Peria, or Berea, in the book of Acts, and you can look that reference up to see the description of that site. I don't have the book of Acts in front of me right this second, but I'd just like to read a little excerpt from Evelyn Stokes, which describes Tamihana's village of Peria in quite amazing terms, what the people had established there. So, a Māori built church crowned one height, the ancient burial place another. Thompson's own house nestling in a grove of peach trees, stood on an eminence which stretched north and south, the level plains of the great valley of the Thames. So that's indeed looking sort of westwards, as I said before. In the lofty mountain range opposite could be seen, like a streak of silver, the Wairereire waterfall, 500 feet or more in height, etc. On an ancient hill stood a post office from which Thompson, Tamihana, dispatched letters to all the Māori villages. In the valley below the village, a stream turned a little flour mill where, forgive the 1865 expression from a European commentator, where the dusky farmers ground their wheat. This is, in fact, an excerpt from J.C. Firth, who was a local European in 1856. So the flour mill. Not far from this stood the schoolhouse in which the chief taught his scholars of every age, from the tattooed old chief to the boy and girl. A large whareurunga council hall occupied a central position, where from time to time the affairs of the Māori nation were discussed by chiefs of renown, and speeches marked by the fire, humour, action, dignity and decorum characteristic of Māori oratory. And finally, every morning and evening a bell called this orderly, simple, religious people to prayers. I never saw a more charming instance of simply idyllic life than this remarkable Māori village presented in 1856. J.C. Firth. So this really significant historical site is now the Pereira Hills Cottage. And I should say that we are now on Pereira Road, which leads into Matamata, if you want to find it on Google Maps. So what should we say about all this? History is now. Is history now? The settlement's gone. And that in some ways is a tragedy that history didn't work out the way it could have. If there had been more generosity of spirit and less material greed and less fear and misunderstanding ultimately. And yet history is now in a very meaningful sense, because all that this land is and that this place is today is due to the and I've just realised that the video has kept running, but that's alright because I was just contemplating what I was going to say next. So history is now. History is now because all of those actions and decisions make up the place that we call Aotearoa today. History is now because if we face the past and draw insights from the past, we can decide what history that we decide to remember and that we decide to build on. So history is now, it was actually a phrase I got from a T.S. Eliot poem from one of the four quartets. History is now in England. Check it out. But also very true is history is now and Aotearoa, New Zealand. History is now and the Kingitanga, History Is Now, and Ngāti Haua, his people, are using the inspiration of his story, drawing from the inspiration of his story and what they are doing now, including a business enterprise, I believe, called Peria, or using that name. And I'm hoping to, later today, catch up with Kaumātua Mokoro Galette over in Morrinsville. But before then, hoping to explore a few other sites of significance in the Wiremu Tamihana Trail. Kororia, ki te atua maunga rongo ki te whenua whakaro pai ki ngā tangata katoa.